Welcome to Intellect IS, and today in this class we are going to discuss another topic of NCERT, and that is civil service in India. Civil service in India. So, in this topic, NCERT discusses almost all the aspects of civil service in India. First of all, it provides the historical background of civil service in India, and it writes that civil service in India is a British legacy, one of the important legacies of British rule or British administration in India. ये कहता है एनसीईआरटी कि it is a British legacy. British legacy means ये जो है कहाँ आया होगा, तो it would have been developed during the British administration in India. Isn't so? Now, how it developed? So, we all know that there was a gradual development of civil services in India or civil service in India. As we know that the system of recruitment was adopted very late. पढ़ चुके हैं हम लोग. Okay, we have discussed that also. So, what is here in NCERT? It is written in the NCERT that the civil service in India is one of the important legacies of British administration. But it was not the rules and it was not only the rules and regulations that were developed by the British Parliament or the British Crown for the civil service in India, but all along the British rule. British rule in India, all along the British rule in India, the members of ICS developed their own traditions. So the next thing is members of ICS developed their own traditions. बहुत सारे traditions को develop किया. And during the British rule in India, civil service in India was highly trained. Civil service in India was highly trained. धीरे धीरे हो गई थी, है ना? Highly trained, professional service or the civil service, professional civil service, trained थी, professional थी, and it was also characterized as the intelligent and diligence. Intelligence characterized by intelligence and diligence. Okay, it was also characterized by intelligence and diligence. It means that कि इंटेलिजेंस और डिलीजेंस दोनों इस सर्विस में था. ओके, एंड we know that with the creation of imperial civil service, with the creation of imperial civil service, British rule was basically run by the members of ICS, Imperial Civil Service. We all know that. So, practically, the members of ICS were having the power. That is why during the British rule, they were called as the repository of power. ठीक है, they were practically the repository. Practically, they were repository of power. और यही बात थी, प्रैक्टिकली यही सच था. इन रियलिटी और इन थ्योरी principally the authority was in the hands of the British Crown, and the British Crown was running the administration of India, है ना, with this steel frame. So it was also called as steel frame of British administrative system. Okay, so स्टील फ्रेम भी इसको कहते ही हैं, हम सभी जानते हैं. एंड इन ड्यू कोर्स ऑफ टाइम, एक और बड़ी खास बात इसमें आ गई. इन ड्यू कोर्स ऑफ टाइम it became a ruling class. In due course of time, ICS became a ruling class. और आप समझ रहे हैं, that kind of ruling class which was not having any sentiment of the people of India, though the administration was being run by them, and the members of ICS became the ruling class, became the ruling class also. है ना? In due course of time, they became the ruling class. But what was the problem? The problem was that this ruling class was outside the main currents of the life and feeling of main currents of Indian life and feelings. Okay, they're outside. But this steel frame or this highly trained professional neutral civil service, as we have discussed earlier also, completely devoted to its masters of London, means the British Crown and the British Empire, was continued, and it worked well, and it served well empire. But after the independence, situation changed. So after the independence, अब बदलेगी situation. Okay, so after the independence, there were two type of views. One was in favor to continue this civil service, and the other one was discontinue and dismantle the service. But as we know, the then Home Minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel advocated and insisted that the ICS has to be continued, must be continued, because it will help in the nation building and unification and unity of the country, unity and integrity of the country. So, when after independence it was continued, so the nature of the rule was changed. Earlier, in which it was developed, it was imperial or the crownship. Okay, and it was serving the colonial rulers. Now, after independence, the nature and the role will change. Here it was serving its masters, not the people. Not the people. Okay. But after independence, as India adopted parliamentary form of democratic government, parliamentary form of government, तो क्या हो गया, चेंज हो गया ना, in which what is the speciality or the specific characteristic of parliamentary system of government? There is council of ministers responsible to public. Okay, first thing. Second thing, parliamentary form of democratic government. So in the democracy, though it was a nascent kind of democracy, then also India adopted planned development, है ना, through planning commission. So India started its journey through planning commission, and through planning commission, planned development was the target. Planned development. So that is why NCERT writes, due to these two reasons, the role of the civil service, role and characteristics, both the role and characteristic of the civil service in India changed drastically. अब कितना चेंज हुआ ये पता चलेगा, हुआ नहीं ज्यादा, बट चेंज चाहिए था. So what happened actually? Due to these two reasons, what happened? There was a significant change in the role of bureaucracy. नहीं लिखें बल्कि civil service लिखें. Significant change in the role of civil service. Okay. अच्छा, इसके पहले क्या था वो भी अभी बताएंगे. अभी क्या हो गया, मेन रोल हो गया, ठीक है, टू हेल्प Now the major role is or was is kahiye is to help the executives in the formulation and implementation of the public policy. Policies, programs, whatever, act, laws, whatever you can add there. So, in the country like India, which was a developing country and is still more or less developing country, so the functions and, and accordingly the role, the functions of civil service can be categorized into following two type of functions: traditional and development. Traditional and development. Under the traditional function or the functions, I would like to call it functions, traditional functions. क्या था पहले? तो you can say the maintenance of law and order as well as revenue collection. Thereafter, administrative and technical assistance, administrative and technical assistance to political executives. Thereafter, running day-to-day administration. Running day-to-day administration. These are actually the traditional functions. It means that such type of functions were being performed by the civil service even during the British. But after the independence of the country, as country strived and is still striving for the development. So the first and foremost change जो आया, that is social and economic development of the country. So the function इसका क्या हो गया? In the development, with this perspective of the development, to help or to work for the socio-economic development of the country. Socio-economic development of the country. Second, emphasis on welfare activities of the government or the state. अब याद रखिए आप, ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, अभी आपको फिर मैं एक बार याद दिलाता हूं, दिस इज द रीजन वाई इन यूपीएससी एग्जाम, है ना, implementation of public policy was wrong answer given by me. ठीक है? क्यों? क्योंकि सोशियो इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट एक बड़ा काम है इसका, and it should emphasize on the welfare activities of the government. And welfare activities of the government are what kind of? All those activities that are being implemented or you can say being formulated by the state or the government to help the downtrodden people. And you also know that the objective of the welfare activities is major objective of the welfare activities is to uplift the status, position and status of the downtrodden. ऊपर लाना है. We all know that. Means it is for the social justice. बात तो वही हो गई. The developmental functions related with the social and economic development are also related with the welfare activities of the government. Thereafter, इधर ये क्या करता है, इधर हेल्प करता, अच्छा इधर हेल्प नहीं करता, helps in the formulation and implementation of welfare policies and programs. In the formulation and implementation, helps in the formulation and implementation of the welfare policies and program, means the policies related with the welfare. So in India, civil service has a major role, has a very special and major role in the people's welfare and their development. And this is not any minor role. Major role मैं आपको बार बार बोल रहा हूं, सर, major role. Okay? Now, we have discussed several characteristics of civil service. Now, after independence, when India became a independent country, then in this independent country, with the focus or emphasis on the development or the speedy socio-economic development of the country, the characteristics which were traditionally very much acclaimed and admired, those characteristics got also a challenge to be changed. Okay, as we have studied that the bureaucracy at the civil service has what kind of role? Has the role of, plays a neutral role. Neutrality was a very major character of the civil service during the British rule in India. But after independence, neutrality was not welcomed, and it was actually expected from the civil service that they should be responsive to the needs and aspirations of the people. Okay, न्यूट्रल है तो किधर भी नहीं जाने वाला, आपको पता है. ओके, बट एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या है? इन दिस independent India, it was expected that the civil service shall play or shall be or will be responsive to the needs and aspirations of the people. of country or society at large. And it is also expected that it should take the responsibility of the welfare of the people. Welfare of the people. Okay? So if these were the expectations, so it was almost impossible to be delivered by the neutral bureaucracy. That is why the independent country leaders, or you can say the leaders or the political executives or the political leaders of the country, and even academicians also felt that neutral civil service is likely to be indifferent, likely to be indifferent or indifference, and unresponsive. अनरिस्पॉन्सिव, अब आप समझ गए होंगे इंडिफरेंस, इन कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, indifferent and unresponsive to the people, and the expectations were these two major expectations. That is why what happened, it was advocated that the need is committed service. Need is of the committed civil service, not the neutral. So the need is, or you can say it was advocated that the need is, क्या है need? Need is committed civil. Now, the question arises, what is commitment actually? Okay, so commitment towards whom? With whether the committed bureaucracy or the committed civil service is related with the commitment of civil service to the party in power? No. Actually, commitment of civil service stands for certain amount of involvement. Commitment of civil service stands for a certain involvement, not total involvement. Certain. The degree might be decided by the policy makers. Certain involvement इसका of civil service or the civil servants in the implementation of policies and programs. Without, it is also advocated that without the certain involvement of the civil service in the or the civil servants in the implementation of the policies and programs, it will not be possible to implement them effectively. Means without a certain involvement of civil servants, the effective implementation of policies and programs is almost impossible. Okay, so commitment towards whom? So, the committed civil service or the committed bureaucracy इधर कमिटेड रहती है, ये जरा देखा जाए. सो कमिटमेंट टू द नेशनल गोल्स, commitment to the national goals, and all these points must be remembered by you always, because these may be asked in your exam. And no one can say that it is out of syllabus. Actually, it is in the NCERT, and it is related with the governance. Okay, दोनों बातें हैं. So that towards the national goals and faith in those, इनको faith भी रखना है. Commitment towards the national goals and faith in those policies and programs which flow from these national goals, and faith in those policies and programs which flow, those policies and programs which flow from these. So commitment does not mean the commitment to a particular ideology or commitment to a particular political party. No, it is only commitment, है ना, towards the national goals, policies and programs. किसी भी पार्टी के लिए, किसी भी नेता के लिए कहीं भी कोई कमिटमेंट नहीं है. Only the commitment is towards the national goals and policies. Now, we are going to discuss safeguards available to civil servants in India. Safeguards in India, as NCERT discusses. Safeguards safeguards. Actually, NCERT discusses the safeguards comparatively. और कंपैरिजन किससे करेगी? ब्रिटिश सिस्टम. Why? The civil service in India is a British legacy. So it compares with the British system. So under the English common law, under the English common law, civil servants of UK, है ना, अभी तो यूके ही बोलना पड़ेगा, वैसे इंग्लैंड पहले कहते थे. Means all the civil servants hold their office during the pleasure of the crown. Hold their office during the pleasure of the crown. It means that crown can dismiss them any time. So the crown has the authority to dismiss them any time. कभी भी, anytime, crown can dismiss. And it is very surprising that without any reason, the crown can dismiss them any time, even without any reason. Without any reason. So what happens actually? this type of removal of the civil servants is not based on the true spirit of democracy, as well as it is not based upon the true spirit of personnel administration and management. And what happens in this type of provision ensures allegiance to the crown, allegiance to the masters only. ये बड़ी प्रॉब्लम होती है in that country, means in Britain, United Kingdom, can be removed, the civil servant can be removed without citing any reason. It means that the civil servants in Britain don't have power or authority to the crown or the government. They cannot go to court against their dismissal. Isn't so? यही तो होगा कि किसी भी रीजन पे वो कभी भी बिना कोई रीजन बताए हटा देगा. इसका मतलब ये है कि अब उसके खिलाफ कुछ आप कर नहीं सकते हैं इन इंग्लिश कॉमन लॉ. So it shows that in Britain actually there is no any significant safeguard available to civil servants. नहीं है. समझ रहे हैं? They don't enjoy. But India, under Indian law, this British system was not adopted in its entirety, as Indian Constitution provides several safeguards. Huh? क्या होता है इन इंडिया? पहली बात तो ये है कि इट इज द सिविल सर्विस इज having a constitutional status. First thing. Second thing, there are several type of safeguards, including the immunity or safeguard available under Article 311. Okay? They are having. आप जरा देखिए कैसे. तो if any civil servant is to be removed, then that individual civil servant shall have the reasonable opportunity to be heard. तो मौका मिलेगा, उसको अपना पक्ष रखने का मौका मिलेगा. ठीक है? And he or she can present the evidences in his or her defense and to prove himself or herself innocent or not guilty. And this is also based on the principle of natural justice. As one of the important principles of natural justice is that no one should be punished unheard. And in English common law, under English common law, the civil servants are being punished unheard. उनको कोई सुन ही नहीं रहा. No opportunity. If they are dismissed, then dismissed. No second opportunity is there. Okay. The civil servant can move towards the court if they are dismissed or terminated without the following of due procedures which are laid down under a particular department or under the code of conduct related with the civil servants. But one very important fact you should always, the protections or the safeguards are available only then when the appointment of the official has been duly made. आपको समझ नहीं आया होगा. I'm just making an example, giving an example. Actually, those who are not appointed duly, who they are. So actually, those officials who are in or who will be in their probation period. So the probation period is not considered as the duly appointed period. So if any public official has not completed, civil servant has not completed his or her probation period and is suspended during that period, not suspended but dismissed, then he or she not have any reasonable opportunity to sue the government and go to the court for the relief. Chaliye. Now, after this discussion of safeguards in civil services in India, it is provided here the structure of civil service. Next discussion or the next topic is structure of civil service. Structure of civil service. So as we know that the structure in India, structure. What kind of structure you may find in India? So you should always remember that what kind of state it is. What kind of state is it is? So India is a federal state. That is why there will be or there must be two लेवल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट एटलीस्ट. अभी तो हमारे यहाँ 3 है लेकिन 2 ही मान के चलिए. यहाँ पर 2 लेवल, द सेंट्रल एंड स्टेट, एंड अकॉर्डिंगली द सर्विसेज विल आल्सो बी डिवाइडेड. है ना? ठीक है. सो state, at the state level there is state agencies for the recruitment and government appoints. कौन सी गवर्नमेंट? स्टेट गवर्नमेंट. Similarly, at the central level, all those departments, ministries, whatever are under the central government, the public officials or the employees are recruited by the central agency. सेंट्रल एजेंसी. अब इस पे क्या कहते हैं हम लोग? स्टेट लेवल पर स्टेट एजेंसी इज स्टेट पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन एंड स्टेट एसएससी भी होता है. ओके, हियर एट द सेंट्रल लेवल, सेंट्रल एजेंसीज आर आल्सो यूपीएससी and Staff Selection Commission, SSC. Okay, and central agency recruits and they are appointed by the central government. Okay, apart from these two type of services, mean the central and state services, there is a very unique service and members of which are common. They work both at the center as well as state level. So the third type of service is All India Service. All India Service. ओके, अब ये किसके द्वारा होता है आपको अच्छे से पता है. यू पीपल आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर ऑल इंडिया सर्विस. The recruitment agency for the All India service is UPSC, means the Central Government Agency. ठीक है, and the members after being recruited are appointed in the states, and the supervision over the All India service members is of both center and state. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स भी उस पे सुपरविजन करती हैं और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. but as the central governments, especially the president, appoints them, that is why the dismissal power lies with the center. Okay, so state governments also supervise, so they have the authority to frame the charges against them, to suspend them, to transfer them. है अपॉइंटमेंट करने का different डिपार्टमेंट्स में अपॉइंटमेंट्स. These are the authority of the state governments, while the central government has authority to remove. Similarly, in India, the constitution provides under Article 312 that if Rajya Sabha thinks that it will be in the national interest to create some new All India service or a particular new All India service, then it can pass a resolution, and after on the basis of that resolution क्या होगा? On the basis of that resolution, if the Lok Sabha also passes, then that can be after that. The structure of civil service in India में अब क्या आएगा? इनके classes. So earlier there was the class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, and now it has been removed or replaced by the groupings, and the group A, B, C and D. Usually, the members of the Group A and B services are known as gazetted officer, as after the appointment their name is published in the Gazetteer of India और गजेटियर ऑफ स्टेट, स्टेट में है तो स्टेट में, तो वो छपता है, इसलिए जो है ऐसा माना जाता है। और फिर उसके बाद स्ट्रक्चर में जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्ट्रक्चर है, दैट आई हैव टोल्ड यू सेवरल टाइम्स, द ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्ट्रक्चर कैसा होता है, दैट आई हैव टोल्ड यू सेवरल टाइम्स। सपोज दिस इज अ मिनिस्ट्री और अ डिपार्टमेंट, then the HOD will be a minister. Just after the minister, there will be secretary and an office called secretariat. Okay? Secretariat. Thereafter, there will be the directorate, and directorate is actually the field office. Means implementation, you can say that the directorate is the headquarter of the implementation, while the secretariat is the kind of head office for the policy formulation and policy decisions to help the minister, है ना। उसके बाद आपको पता है कि फिर तमाम सारे, अब सेक्रेटरिएट में, सेक्रेटरिएट के अंदर का क्या होता है, तो सेक्रेटरिएट में सेक्रेटरी, फिर एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी, जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी, अंडर सेक्रेटरी, डेप्यूटी सेक्रेटरी, ये सारे जो है क्या होते हैं, ऑर्डर ऑफ पोजीशंस आर द रैंक्स होती हैं। तो दिस इज अ ब्रीफ related with this civil services structure that is given in our NCERT. Now, the next discussion will be public service commissions at union and state level, and thereafter their functions and all we'll discuss tomorrow in the class. Thank you.